Case value versus settlement value, why there's a difference, what to know, how to evaluate your claim, how to know what to look for when it's time to settle your case. You guys love asking questions about settlements. It's where the money's at, and we're going to talk about it today. What's the difference between case value and a settlement? Case value is the total amount of money your case could, should, would be worth over time. It's your weekly compensation checks, your medical bills, your awards. It's the overall value of the case. It's not a locked-in number. As we know, things change. You could have a surgery go bad. You could need more surgery than was anticipated. You could develop a consequential injury. A lot of different things can happen. So values can change over time. Settlement, by contrast, is a lump sum that you agree to take to close your case early. It is a lock-in figure. It's an agreed upon number between you and the insurance company. It's a specific number, amount of money that you're going to get now, but it comes at a discount. Also, you're giving up your right to future compensation. You can let your case play out and get more money over the long term, or you could try to settle it. You'll receive a lump sum of money, which is less than what you would get over the long term, but you would get it right now, and you just got to figure out and do it the right way and try to maximize that. And we're going to explain that in just a second. How is your case value actually calculated? Well, number one, it starts with your average weekly wage. This is the foundation of your claim, your benefits, the amount of money you're entitled to, your average weekly wage. It's based upon your earnings before the injury. So average weekly wage by statute here in New York State is an average of the 52 weeks preceding your accident date. It's the 1 year leading up to your accident. If you got hurt on November 12th, 2024, well, they're going to look at your gross weekly salary from November 12th, 2023 until November 12th, 2024, and they're going to average it out. If you didn't work a substantial portion of the year, they'll ask your employer for a similar workers' payroll. This is where your lawyer really shines by doing math and figuring out the numbers in the best way to benefit you and get that number as high as possible to show how high your earnings were, because the higher your average weekly wage, the higher your compensation benefits. Workers' compensation pays 2/3 of your average weekly wage up to a statutory maximum. And every year, the maximum rate of compensation fluctuates based upon the state average wage. So then we factor in your overall level of disability. How disabled are you? Obviously, the more disabled you are, the higher the percentage of your disability, the more money you're owed in benefits. This is where we reach the crossroads here. This is where we have to now distinguish injuries. Do you have schedulable injuries or non-schedulable injuries? And as we discussed in the past, schedulable injuries, the state government has determined the value of each of those body parts: a hand, an arm, a leg, a foot, each of your fingers, each of your toes, vision, and hearing. There's a chart that values those things. What does that mean? Well, those body parts each have a value, and that value is directly tied into your average weekly wage and your overall level of permanent disability to that body part. So I'm going to give an example here. Let's say you have an arm injury. If you lose function of an arm, you're entitled to 312 weeks of compensation. Let's say my doctor says I have 25% loss of use of my arm. And let's just assume for the purpose of this example that I earn $900 a week. So how does that work? Well, 25% loss of use of an arm gets me 78 weeks of compensation. And if I was earning $900 a week at my job in gross average weekly wage, my rate of compensation is 2/3 of that. 2/3 of 900 is 600. I'm entitled to 78 weeks of compensation at $600 a week. I'm entitled to $46,800 less any payments I've already received. So if you're out of work for a period of time and you're getting paid for your lost time, they are going to deduct those payments and take credit for those payments at the end of your case. So this is the example I always give it, why it's sometimes usually better to go back to work sooner rather than later. The sooner you go back to work, you're earning your salary, and that salary is not going to get deducted out of your comp award. So in this example, the person who has a 25% loss of use earning $900 a week, if they are out of work for 10 weeks and they are getting $600 a week, well, their $46,800 is now worth $40,800 because they're going to take credit for those weeks that they paid you $600 a week in workers' compensation. So when it's a schedule only type of case, you want to go back to work, and that's how you evaluate the value and what your settlement should be worth. And usually when it's a schedule only case, it's payable up front. So your value, excluding medical, is pretty close to your settlement. Not much of a discount. So cases like that, value equals settlement. Now let's look at the non-schedule, the head, the neck, the back, the stroke, the heart attack. Those are non-scheduled cases. So let's take a back injury, for instance. Let's say that there's been a determination that you have a 50% loss of wage earning capacity, a 50% permanent impairment to your back because of your injury. That gets you 50% rate of compensation, not the total rate. You get a 50% rate for 300 weeks. So the same person who earned $900 a week, what is a 50% rate? Well, if the max is 2/3, if 100% compensation, 100% disability gets you 2/3, which would be $600, what is 50%? 50%, $300. So you'd be getting $300 a week for 300 weeks. The total value of that is $90,000. Sounds like a lot of money, but that award is payable over 300 weeks. It's payable over 5.75 years. And the value of a dollar today is worth more than the value of a dollar tomorrow. So the $300 check you're getting today is going to do a lot more for you than the $300 check you're going to get in 5.7 years, where prices go up, inflation goes up. You also got to factor in your future medical needs, surgeries, long-term treatment, long-term therapy, follow-up care, maintenance care. You might need a surgery in the future. Talk to your doctor about that. Make sure you understand what the future holds and what to expect. We don't have a crystal ball, but it's nice to get the input from a professional as to what you should expect with respect to your injuries. And why do settlement offers come in lower than case value? You're accepting less overall in exchange for getting money now. You want it now, you're going to have to take it at a discount. Why does it come at a discount? Because why would they give you all the money that your case is worth up front? There's a lot of different reasons why they wouldn't do that. Number one, if they're going to litigate any portion of your case, that could reduce the value of your case. It could reduce the amount of money they'd have to pay to you over time. And number two, a dollar today is worth more than a dollar tomorrow. So the cost of your surgery in a year from now, if they give you that money up front, it's worth more today, present dollar value. So they're going to discount your money over time. I've seen the discount as much as 40%, getting 40% of what the overall value would be worth. A lot of insurance companies will throw you the 40-50% offer, knowing that we're going to land on a 60-65% settlement. Sometimes we can get it up to 70. It also depends whether you're closing medical or leaving medical open, but you do have to discount that number. Otherwise, why the hell would they do it? If they're going to have to pay you this money over time, why give it to you all up front? It's worth more today. You have to discount it. Insurance companies also factor in risk. You could get better. You could go back to work. You would presumably need less treatment down the road. You would presumably get better, but you might get better than they expect. So there's a risk there to them as well. Oftentimes their offer to you reflects what they think they'll actually end up paying, not what you're technically owed. The longer your case goes on, the more benefits you receive. So the value shrinks. There's one insurance company that will say $150,000 offer, and the client says, oh my God, that's too low and I'm not taking it. And then 6 months go by and they go $130,000. And the client says they're going the wrong direction. They're supposed to go up if they want to get me to settle. They're going down. These insurance companies say, you know what? We worked it out and 6 months have passed of us paying you. That money's coming off the table. It's coming out of your settlement. Then it's on your lawyer to show that that case had more value than the initial offer and the subsequent offer to get you more money overall. And yes, you are getting paid in the interim there, so it is something to consider. Many offers also don't fully include the future medical costs or long-term wage loss. Insurance companies will oftentimes undervalue this because sometimes it's unclear. They don't know what future medical costs are going to be. They don't know if you're going to give up going to the doctor at some point in time because you've had enough. They don't know if treatment's going to get cheaper or if a different treatment's going to come out. Treatments change over time. They get better. They get more efficient. So the insurance company knows that this happens and they might undervalue your future medical. They're going to use that to lower your settlement value. How can you tell if the settlement offer is fair? You compare the offer with what you would get if you didn't settle, what your total benefits would be over time. And again, this is why it's important to have an attorney, because they know what you're entitled to and they know what you're not entitled to. You need to ask yourself, will this cover all my future expenses, this settlement, and medical care, lost income, child support? You know, people have different needs and different expenses in their life, and they got to make sure that things will be satisfied based upon your specific circumstances. Review how your average weekly wage and disability rating were calculated. Even small errors affect the entire offer. Every single time we do any type of settlement, anytime I prep a case for a hearing, I'm still going to go back and do the math every time. You know, we're talking about payments over a 5, 6, 7 year period, weekly payments. Think about it. $5 makes a difference at that point in time. $5 over the course of a year is $250. And then over the course of 6 years, that's $1,500 that you just gave back to them over a $5 difference in your compensation. That's your money. If you find a $15 difference in average weekly wage, if I can bump that number up by $15, it gets you $10 more a week. That doubled the $1,500 I said before over 6 years. It makes it $3,000. It turns into real money for people who need it. And I want to get my client as much as possible. The insurance company is not going to voluntarily give you more money. They're not going to voluntarily give you a higher average weekly wage. You have to go out there and find it and prove it. Super important that you do that. Other considerations: can you reopen your case? If you do a Section 32, closed is closed. It's vaulted. It's locked. It's done. And you cannot reopen it. Did you get any extra value for that? I hope so. We always push for it. What are you giving up by settling? Are you giving up future medical care? How much money are they giving for medical allocation, future medical set aside? Those things all need to be considered, and you need to know what the values are and how to evaluate them properly, which is why you need a good lawyer. Get a lawyer who knows what's going on so we can maximize your dollar value. They know it's fair. They know where the values are. They know where to look for value. They know where value doesn't exist as well. You make sure you get a lawyer and you file your case properly and you start pushing for benefits. I hope you have a lawyer. If you don't, you call me. 212-406-8989. I am Rex Sakovsky. I am your friend who's here to help you with your workers' compensation case and your personal injury case. Social Security disability, give us a call. If you like what you have to hear, please hit like, subscribe. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you guys. Love you.